Okay, so now we're going to look at the slope formula. The slope formula lets us find the slope from the coordinates of 2 points on a line. So let's look at a line, and let's say it has 2 points on it, and we call them point 1 and point 2. And those 2 points are going to have some coordinates. So let's say this is 1, 3, and this is at 4, 5. Well, we can use just those numbers to find the slope of the line. We don't have to look at the line. We don't have to draw a triangle. We don't have to have a table. Let's just label these a little bit. So for point 1, we'll call the x. We'll call it x1, and the x and y, we'll just call them x1 and y1, so that we can tell the difference between those and x2, y2 for point 2. And then, well, what we already know from our picture is that slope is rise over run, and the run is the difference between the x coordinates. So the difference between x2 and x1. So 4 minus 1 will be the run. And above that, we'll have the rise, which is the difference between the y coordinate for point 2 and the y coordinate for point 1 is 5 minus 3. And if we just do the math there really quick, so 5 minus 3 is 2 and 4 minus 1 is 3, we can see the slope here is 2/3. And that's what this formula up here is showing you, that the slope is the rise over run, and that can be found by taking the y coordinate of 1 point, so finding the difference of the y coordinates and the difference of the x coordinates. And here it says where x2 minus x1, which is the bottom part, is not equal to 0. Because if you have it equal to 0, your calculator will break. No, it won't break, but it'll tell you something is not right. If you try to do something like 2 divided by 0 in your calculator, it'll tell you, if you have a TI-84, it'll tell you error, divide by 0. You're not allowed to divide by 0. How do you divide something into groups of 0? Or 0 groups? So the x coordinate you use first in the denominator must. So this, when we're using graphs, it was very important that we went left to right. Slope is left to right. With these points, it actually isn't as critical, because if I did this in the other order, 3 minus 5 over 1 minus 4, well, 3 minus 5 is negative 2, and 1 minus 4 is negative 3. And the negatives cancel, so these two are actually the same. So my order isn't actually that important. It is important that 1 and 3 go together. So 1 and 3 go together, whether they're first or second, they go together. And 5 and 4 go together. So 1 and 3 go together, 5 and 4 go together. And you can put them in either order, but you have to keep the points. If point 2 is going first, then it has to go first on the top and the bottom, and vice versa. Okay, so let's do an example, or another example really quickly. So now I don't have the line, I just have the points. If you want, you can write in x1, x2, y1, y2, and that way, that just one more way to check, hey, am I doing this right? Now, the formula said y2 minus y1, and hopefully you put that formula in your notebook, in your notes. and x2 minus x1. So let's do it that way. So y2 minus y1, y2 is negative 2 minus y1 is 0 over x2 is 3 and x1 is negative 1. So I have negative 2 minus 0, that's negative 2. And 3 minus negative 1, well, that's minus a negative, that's the same as plus. So that's 4. So I have negative 2 over 4, which is the same as negative 1/2, and that is my slope. On the next slide, there's a bunch of these for you to practice, so give those a shot. And then we've got one more type of thing to look at for this lesson. All right, good work. I'll see you in the next video.